back to another episode of Mad Track Talk. It's your boy Luke, aka Lucifer the God, coming at you. We got Key Eye.
Woo,
The track you just heard was Mike. What track did we put in there? No, I'm allowed to ask you. I can't remember. Is it Don't Play?
Yes.
Don't Play.
Yes, it is.
That was one of my from the Untapped. He did that session. That
Yes.
was. I'm gonna be honest. We listened to it many times. We were like, dude, this song is fire.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
That one was, we played it on repeat several times.
Ooh. Oh man, thank you.
And
wow. I'm like,
no, that was and then you were really good in the interview the whole time.
thank you. I was worried it was a little too monotone, but then I was like, well, it's cool,
No, you were just answering questions.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
were talking about, like kind of like what you got going on and like what's happening throughout your artist career.
Yeah, I take my art very seriously too,
Yeah.
so I tend to like get real serious.
Yeah. So I guess kind of getting right into it. So when do you? Because was looking at your Instagram and everything and seeing all that. You do a lot of different types of work as far as actual real world art, because there's a digital form now, obviously. So tell me about like kind of like where that manifested, like kind of how did that start?
Ooh, well, yeah, I mean, it's not some sort of really long drawn out story.
Yeah.
I've always been like a singer, just always kind of knew I could do it. I never really like doubted it. Nobody around me ever doubted it. So I just always really threw all of my efforts into singing. I felt like I was kind of a lazy kid. So it's funny how this is like the one thing that always kind of drove me. I always drew and painted for fun. I just thought I was, pretty good at that too. So I enjoy it. You tend to enjoy the things you're good at, of course. So there's always that. My grandmother was a painter, so there's an influence there.
Nice.
That's my mom, my dad's mom, and then my mom's dad was a really gifted singer. So I think there's some influence there. And then his niece, which is my mom's cousin, is an opera singer. So there's some musical influence. Her sister is a piano player. She taught me piano as a kid. That turned into musical theater programs when I was a kid that my mom put me into. Then it turned into choir in school.
Nice.
I went to a private school that didn't have a choir. So
So you had to go like private, or did you do it outside, or when did that?
my parents, I grew up in Pomona,
Okay.
and my parents were just kind of like wanting to put me in a private school. Just they felt like the school district maybe at the time wasn't up to their standards or whatever.
It just depends on where you live.
Yeah, it does. They just, the reputation was there, so they just didn't go for it. They didn't want to chance it. So they sent me into a private school that was like on the way to my mom's job in downtown LA.
Okay.
And it was a Montessori school. Like I said, they didn't really have a choir. We did like shows at the end of the year, but I was always actually really like shy about
Interesting.
my talent. So, I mean, like I was confident but shy at the same. Somebody told me I'm the most like confident, insecure person they've ever met, which I'm like, so I'm a giant oxymoron. Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty true. I know what I can do, but then like when it comes down to it, I'm like, am I bragging? Like, I don't want to brag. I don't want to be too cocky. I've always been worried about that because I felt like I had that in me. At some point, I just felt like art wasn't my thing. So I kind of slowly but surely kind of gravitated away from the visual arts towards high school. Kind of just never looked back. I did a college choir, did Citrus College Choir, traveled, sang. I got cool gigs. We even got on like TV one time as a background
Nice.
singer. That was really cool.
What was that on?
America's Got Talent.
Oh, man.
You know that little girl that could sing opera, Jackie Ivanko?
I think so. I have to look it up and see it.
She's not little anymore, and she became controversial older, but she was like 8 years old, like real young, and could sing opera very, very well. And then they had her all the way up. I think she was like second runner up.
Okay.
They had her on the next year for the finale episode, and that's when I was 21 and I did it. And
Oh, nice.
yeah, I was like almost.
How was that
22.
experience?
Really cool, long day, paid very well. So
Hell yeah.
that was actually technically my first job because it was something I filled out a W for.
Oh, crazy. So that was like the first like nice, like, oh dude, this is a gig.
I got a tax return. I got residual money. It was cool. And I didn't even have to get like a regular job until I was almost 22.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's always a good feeling.
Yeah, I was really lucky. I was able to get just side gigs, and my parents just if they saw me working hard, they'd help me out. They'd spot me for gas or whatever, and I didn't do much, so it wasn't like I needed to drive over hill and dale. Anyway, but yeah, singing has just always been there. I got into a relationship when I was about 23. The singing kind of flatlined after that. Drawing definitely flatlined after that. Unfortunately, I don't want to refer to it as a dark period, but it was
Hmm.
sort of the medieval era of my arts,
Okay.
and I guess that's what the medieval or dark ages were.
Yeah.
What
A
it was
little
like lack
lull
of
of
production.
yeah.
Yeah, so that was, or at least for Western culture, actually not really Eastern culture, but for me it was, and I think I didn't have a whole lot of support from the person that I was with at the time that really felt that that was what I should be focusing on. I think he
Yeah.
thought I was it was done it was time to stop thinking about pipe dreams and buckle down, have the family, blah blah. And I was like, what about my dreams?
Yeah.
So it finally ended, and then I actually didn't want it to end, so I was kind of like whatever grieving. It was shortly after my dad passed away. It was just really
I'm
bad.
sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
That's sorry at a young, even in your 30s to not have your father around. That must be
Yeah,
really
I
hard.
was 27.
Hmm.
It was a few months before I turned 28, and then just to like lose kind of like every man in my life. My brother moved across the country because he just got an opportunity, and I get it. He's 10 years older than me, so he's almost 40. And
So that's interesting. I kind of have the same. I have two little sisters, 10 and 13 years younger.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
see,
So I
okay,
feel that.
you know
I
how my
feel.
brother feels.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
I mean, it's a cool. It's I think it's cool. My mom had him before meeting my dad, but then my dad like adopted him after they got
Okay.
married. Yeah, so we all just had the same family name and
Nice.
everything. I didn't know until my brother told me,
Oh,
kind of young,
interesting.
but
Okay.
which my mom got mad about. But it's like, dude, that's my brother.
At the
Like,
same time, yeah, it's like at the end of the because like technically my sisters are like my half sisters,
right,
but I don't consider them my half
right.
sisters. You
You
know, they're
don't
like
refer to
I'm not
them.
like, yeah, this is my half sister Kennedy and Cassidy. You
Yeah,
know,
who
I'm
does
just
that?
like it's
Not if
odd,
you
you
have
know.
the sibling bond with them.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, this is my
It's
sister.
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's never been a thing. So that all happened. It was a lot to take on at the time. For me, I think for anyone.
Yeah.
I think people got it too, which I had a good support system at my job at the time, and then my new job didn't really know. I had just gotten a new job right when my ex left me, so I
What
was
were you
like,
doing?
I was this receptionist at a gymnastics academy over in Pasadena,
Okay,
and I got 3 years of experience, and I used that time to go get a full time job because I wasn't working full time, and I was
gotcha.
27, and I'm like, bro, I'm pushing 30 and I don't work full
Mm-hmm.
time. I sort of always aspired to work at a law firm as a backup option. My mom works at a law firm as a secretary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I just knew I could do it. I have that kind of voice. I have like the Siri voice or like
Well,
customer service.
you have a great you have that girl good personality that's like very approachable and just very like, oh, hey,
Mm.
I have a question. You're like, oh, of course, let me help. How can I help you?
Yeah, I have that like people pleaser thing inside of me.
Yeah, yeah,
So people like that. And I like it. I enjoy it. It's my thing. I could totally be like a personal assistant or whatever, customer
mm-hmm.
service. I just prefer the thing I like about my job now is it's a lot more on the phone, a lot less in person.
Person. Gotcha.
So at the other job, it was like both at the same time. So it's like, and I don't love being crazy busy in that way because I get
Okay.
like, whoa, what's going on? But I can also like handle it, so
Gotcha.
it works out at a law firm. They like me
Yeah,
there. So I've sort of achieved a goal in that way. But then I told myself, don't become a slave to the man, blah blah.
yeah.
So then I really let the art kind of start coming out. I'd gotten some paint and canvases as a gift for Christmas, birthday, something like that. And I was like, let me just do this as some sort of catharsis. And then
Yeah. Was there any catalyst that like kind of brought it back or?
I was just really hurting, and I was like, I'm going crazy. I started playing my piano again in my house, even though it's like really out of tune and old, but it creates a cool sound.
Yeah,
And
it's a vibe.
I'm playing it in a lot of my videos on my Instagram.
Nice.
So there's that.
And they sound good, so.
There we go. There you heard it there, folks. First. He's the one. You got to take his word for it. But no, they do. Yeah, they come out pretty good. I definitely felt like it was healing. I've kind of forgot about shit for a
Mm.
minute, and I can curse, right? Is that
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Okay.
This
I'm
is
like, the
very
FCC is gonna call any minute, you
no,
guys.
no, yeah. This
No,
is free. This is open, free
I thought
flowing.
so.
Yeah,
Okay,
very free
cool.
flowing.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
Solid. But yeah, so that was oh my God, now I forgot what I was talking about.
No, that's cool. You were talking about Mike. What were we talking about? This is the guy that's on the. He wasn't paying attention either. It's totally fine.
Piano.
Oh,
Piano
piano.
healing.
Yeah,
Got it.
healing. We're
We're
back.
good.
We're back and scene. Okay.
And scene like in Arrested Development. Oh my God. David Cross. Fantastic. Um, yeah, it was working for me. And I was like, why don't I ever like post myself singing? Or like people ask me that. And I'm like, I've never like announced like people like all of a sudden, oh, you can sing like knowing me for years.
Mm.
They're like
Yeah, and they're like questioning. "Oh,
people in high school, no idea. People in college, no idea. Like, yeah, coworkers,
so you kept it
no.
very like low key.
Yeah, I just was like, I thought I guess like sucked in a way compared to a lot of other singers. I was like, yeah, you're not that good. Like, don't be all jazzed about your voice, girl. You're not Whitney. You know, you're not Beyonce. You know, don't think you're hot shit. You're not famous or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That you
yeah,
know,
no, I
everybody does.
totally
Everybody beats
understand. No,
themselves.
definitely comparing yourself
But I
to
was
someone that you
overdoing
look
it.
up to or like
Mm.
something you've heard and you're like, oh, well,
And people around me were like kind of blowing up because in Citrus Singers, I have like kind of a family. Like, even if I don't talk to somebody for years and years, if we ran into each other, we'd acknowledge each other and say hi and hug.
okay.
Um, it's like we had one pass away, unfortunately, last year, like a super like father figure of the group.
Dang. That
He
sucks.
was a fantastic musician and human being. So we were really, really upset to lose him. Anybody, of course, but
Yeah.
he just really had it going on musically and had big things coming his way. And we were just like,
Mm.
fudge, man, like, how are you really gonna
Hmm.
just like die on us, Desmond? So we all, we got together, banded together, and that was another source of healing. But anyway, so it within the group, it's a funny thing because when I do reunite with those people, they're like, oh, like sing us something or you're the singer. Well, I'm like, we're all singers, and, like, as I was saying, some of those people around me even blew up to a certain
Okay.
extent. I've had one friend from that group end up on Undercover Boss or something like that, and she moved to New York and has been there
Dang.
ever since, and another go to Tisch for grad acting at NYU
Mm.
and has gotten acting gigs and would be acting right now were it not
If
for
not for
COVID.
COVID,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. They would be actually super gigging it up right
Yeah.
now. They had things coming their way. It's so
Yeah.
sad, but they're phenomenal
It's
musicians.
interesting as a like as someone who is learning and like getting into the music industry because we got out of school almost a year ago now
Okay.
and for audio engineering and
Oh, makes
so
sense. Yeah.
yeah and
I'm like, God, I'm not the college age anymore. Oh
I
God.
know.
I'm like the crypt keeper.
No,
I'm just kidding.
stop,
I'm
stop,
kidding.
stop,
Not
stop.
even.
Not even, not even. But we like it's because you can have these moments. I lost my train of thought. High
Don't you
thoughts.
hate that?
High
I
thoughts.
was gonna say I'm loaded right now, man.
Yeah,
So I'm like
yeah, no. So I'm trying to figure out
dabbed it out too hard.
school, crass, and you were talking about this is terrible.
Shit.
This is so
Yeah,
bad.
we're gonna have to cut this out.
We can't. It's gonna be easy. It's just a quick transition. It's fine.
I'm doing it live.
No, I know we can cut this part out. Just switch to the wide. We don't have to if we don't want to. It's a podcast. We can do
This
whatever
is a
we want.
catastrophe. you
No, it's not a
guys.
catastrophe.
I'm
It's just
joking.
stoner
I know.
thought, like stoner brain. Stoner brain.
I feel like this is your stoner break. This is the moment where you can just sit back, take
Yeah,
a bong toke so you don't cough too hard and miss
yeah,
something and
relax.
rewind it.
Do
Just
you,
chill vibe.
do you want? Yeah, you can come on camera, buddy. This is Mike. People, he's always behind the board.
Oh, there we go. This is making it better. This is content right here with my Crocs, my fur-lined Crocs, the
Okay.
aforementioned.
What was I talking about?
You graduated 5 years ago.
Not 5 years ago, a year ago.
Oh, a year ago. I'm thinking you're 5
5
years
years
younger than me.
Mm.
Sorry, that
Yeah.
was my train of thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remembered. I'm
Combination
trying
of
to
the
go
names.
back in time in my brain
No, we
with the DeLorean.
with regards to music, and when we were coming out of school, audio engineering, and then coming into the industry, you kind of have to figure out the ebbs and flows, and you compare yourself to a lot of other people.
Yes.
You look down upon yourself just because of of lack of knowledge.
Yeah,
And
and
then
that
if-
shit will ruin you.
Yeah, and then especially in a time like this with I remember my thought people. There was like this time for COVID, it was very interesting to see that people who are coming up into the industry, I feel like it was kind of almost a blessing in disguise because we can sit and like go on the computer and learn other things because that's what I've been doing with my time.
This has allowed us to take a step back. If you, of course, if you're able, it's hit
If you're able
everybody so
to.
financially.
Yeah.
I always say I'm the luckiest person. I'm a good luck charm. I'm like Domino in what is that? Marvel?
Yeah.
No, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Deadpool. There it is.
Deadpool.
God, I couldn't think of it. But yeah, I'm a good luck charm. I even if it's shit, like I said, oh my dad died, my ex left me right away. But look what happened. I became the artist I had always wanted to set out to be. I took that pain and I molded it. I created it into what I wanted to do. And that was also with regard to the pandemic. I got lucky. I was able to keep my job. I have
Yeah, I was gonna ask you
nothing's
how
changed
was
for
that?
me.
Okay, you've been going still going to work and everything.
Yeah, I took 2 weeks while my mom had, like, a basic cold
Okay,
because my
just in
mom has
case.
asthma
Okay.
and diabetes, and
Yeah, the asthma is the scary one, especially with this.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, so especially that asthma, I was like, "I'm not chancing it for my mom ever,
Yeah.
so I'm just this is so new, I'm not taking a chance,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay home for 2
Especially
weeks and
then.
work there,"
Yeah, and I
and I
think
did.
the whole time I've said is like, if you have a pre-existing condition with any sickness, you should be worried.
Yeah,
You know, like it's something that like you should be aware of.
right, and then for a minute, I thought I was getting her cold, so I was like, "I really can't come in."
You're like, oh gosh.
My boss did spring. I work for a pretty like up there lawyer, so he did spring for like antibody tests a few times. So I definitely participated in that. And I tested negative, so that was
Nice.
interesting. I'm like, this is like a
I
pregnancy test.
yeah, I haven't gotten a test yet, but like
I haven't gotten like the actual COVID test,
yeah, I
but
haven't.
the
But I also have
antibodies,
never the entire
yes.
time I haven't felt like
You're right. Yeah, this is the least sick I've ever been. I'm not kidding around. I must be doing something. I don't even feel like I'm doing it right.
maybe just subconsciously changing tasks. Like, oh, I just wash. I don't know. Like
I
you,
wash my hands a lot, and I actually have a
maybe yeah,
rockin' immune system.
just killing it.
I do. Like
You're
I'm lucky once again.
the front wave is just right there, still holding strong.
Right, exactly. I'm like, all right, body. Thank you. Clean bill of health. Yeah, I'm truly blessed. I I feel very grateful to be who I am going through all this because I know it could be a lot worse.
Yeah.
I've had the opportunity to take that step back. I did have those 2 weeks. Maybe it was 3, I don't know. I'm like, "Was it 2 weeks?" I don't really remember. It might have been 3, but yeah, I had, like I was really going through it mentally too, I remember. I was really, like, acting up because of, like, the whole thing that
Mm,
happened with me. That was, like, the end of 2018.
mhm.
I spent the next year just, like, spiraling, so
Okay.
that was pretty bad. I don't know how I hid that from my job, to be honest with you. I don't even think I hid it terribly well. I think I just had enough like juice
Mhm.
at the job
Yeah,
to
yeah,
just
yeah.
like survive and not get fired. So
Yeah.
that fucking reeks. But I got my shit together and they love me, so that's okay. And I was kind of coming off of that. I was doing too much. I was seeing too many dudes at one time, doing too many substances,
Yeah.
sometimes at one time,
Just a lot of
acting a fool
distractions for yourself.
random vacations on a whim just because I needed to get away or whatever and clear my head. And I would just end up like smoking weed, going somewhere where I could get weed, and
Mhm.
then just getting loaded or just drink
Mm.
and like not even like truly escape. So, because your problems come with you everywhere you go. You can't
Yeah,
really, you gotta like be at peace, just
definitely.
period. And that's,
Mhm.
I think, something I had to learn how to do is just like sit back, not do everything because you felt like you missed out when you were younger.
Yeah.
And I think everyone was kind of on fast forward,
Yeah.
like I was doing, like, the movie Click where he
Yeah.
clicks fast forward and everything was just like happening too
Yeah.
quickly. I was kind of going a mile a minute and burning the candle at both ends. And now I feel like I have more self control. I was able to finance a car, so I must have. So that there must be something there, but yeah, I wasn't really acting my age. My mom even was like, why are you acting like kind of like a teenager?" And I'm like, "I think it's this whole like status quo that everyone was trying to
Interesting.
meet and look like they're doing
Oh,
great all the time." I had people reach out and say, "Oh my, I just wanted to reach out and like ask, how are you so confident? Like, I'm really struggling right now and I feel like I'm driving my boyfriend away and blah, blah, blah," which is really funny because that's what kind of drove my ex away was
uh-huh.
my like insecurity and my
Mhm.
lack of ability to not be so reactive and or change that behavior really or even start to change it. So he just got sick of that and I used the excuse of like I'm going through a lot right now and but of course, you live and you learn. So
Yeah, yeah.
it was just funny that she was coming at me with that. I'm like, and like, she really fell for the grid thing. Like, she really fell for that lie that people believe when people are telling story, their like highlight reel
Okay.
on
Yeah.
Instagram or Snapchat. And I've had another person reach out to me and say, I love your confidence, girl. But like bitches that I would be jealous of physically. I'm like, you have like zero fat on your stomach. What the fuck are you talking about? Confidence. Like, please. She's like, but my acne. I'm like, I have acne. What
Yeah.
are you talking about? So I think, yeah, confidence is a big, big deal. That's something I got to really mold over this pandemic. I think I think everybody has readjusted their priorities
Yeah.
with
I
this.
hope a lot of people have had like a lot of self-reflection time. I
The
mean,
opportunity's been there
yeah,
for many of
for
us.
a
Yeah.
lot for a lot of us. I mean, and it's on a negative side, yeah, like there hasn't been work. I hope
Economy. Yeah,
you
that's
know,
rough.
those people who are not were able to work and aren't making money, you guys are able to bounce back. I was supposed to be working with a staging company doing work and everything got canceled as soon as this hit
Mm.
and I moved out here, which is totally fine. Thankfully enough, my wife works, so
Oh,
I
good.
have her, and so
That's always good to
she
have
supports
somebody
us right now,
on
while
your
I'm getting
side.
this built up. So it's
Awesome.
I've
Go wife.
definitely been blessed,
That's awesome.
So
I'm like, I'm all happy for you. Like, yes.
no, but like I that's what I hope for anybody.
Yeah.
I was talking to Mike earlier today. I was like, I just find it so troubling and like almost discouraging that there's a lot of people out there that like everyone deserves, the certain essentials in life.
Mm,
And the fact that like they don't get those things or have a certain struggle
they're
that
not just
limits them.
accessible.
Yeah, they're just not accessible because of a situation. And there's a lot of gray area. I understand that. But it's just it sucks, It's just like a sad fact, basically,
Yeah. I mean, you can talk your way out of a paper bag. You can rationalize anything, honestly, if you really want to. It's hard to say what really is wrong or right because people are just so different. you
Yeah.
know,
There's
there's just things that masses tend to agree on.
yeah.
Like murder.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't like that.
No,
Don't do
no,
it.
no, no,
Think
no.
of-
Use it.
if you're thinking about murder right now as you listen to this, just maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
It's frowned upon. It's frowned upon.
maybe just take a shower.
Shower.
Guys,
Cold or hot though?
whatever you prefer. I think
Shock
whatever's
you out of take a
relaxing
cold
to you,
shower.
because I think you need to relax. That's usually the case, isn't it? It's a pretty I would call that an overreaction.
Just a little.
Just a little. No, but yeah, I think you can talk your way out of a paper bag, but I, it's hard for me to rationalize not considering things like certain things, food, healthcare, shelter,
Yeah.
a basic fundamental human right.
Yeah.
Yeah, necessity is probably the more correct word, but I think at this rate, with the way the world works, and it's such a community-driven world or society-driven world, I think it's important to have those things provided since we have things like a government,
Yeah.
taxation in which this money is supposed to be properly allocated, right?
Yeah.
But is it? Of course, that's always the question at
And yeah, it's
hand.
always in question.
It's like, the whole political thing that's going on. It's the whole lesser of two evils
Hmm.
type of thing. And people say, oh, but we're still like the least corrupt out of all the countries. Like, oh, great. Wonderful.
Yeah.
We love that for us. No, not really. It's pretty sad, but I think we should be allowed, like, if we're sick and we have if we have certain resources,
Hmm.
there's just not a lot of humanity in it. It's
Yeah.
all, people, it's capitalism at its finest.
Yeah.
It's really sad. But I think people have also had time to look at that
Yeah.
more
And
closely on,
kind of see what's up with it.
right? And when we were kids, it was like my parents watched the news.
Yeah.
And I just, even as an adult, I'm like, I wish I cared more. Like, even voting, I turned 18 right when Obama went into office the first time because he served 2 terms.
It was it was '08 when he first went in, I think. Or was it '06?
08, yeah, it was
'08.
08, and I had just turned 18. I
Okay.
barely made it. My birthday's
Hmm.
in October at the
Hmm.
beginning. So I just, oh, wait, it's October. At the beginning of this month, my birthday occurs. And I barely made it in time to register and be able to vote. I was so freaking excited. And I did it, and I was like, wow, that was so like parentally driven, my decisions.
Just like based off of like what your parents had kind of already done.
Yeah.
or like
They really
their
would talk me through it in great detail, and I would decide whether or not I agreed
yeah,
with it. But I was, like, not reading those words for myself, and I think, I'm a rather bright girl. I think I can
figure it
gather
out. Yeah,
what is being said on the page,
yeah,
and especially with, my parents, they like to say they're morally liberal and fiscally conservative, which I do actually highly agree with.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think you
This
should
is
be conservative with your money and morally liberal because who the fuck am I to say how you should live your fucking
yeah,
life? Like, somebody's gonna probably shit all over me for the way I'm talking right now. Like, someone in my family would. They shit on me for my tattoos. Like, I come from a conservative Guatemalan family.
interesting.
So
Okay,
I know what it's like to see a morally conservative situation. And I don't prefer it over
yeah,
the alternative. So,
yeah, yeah.
it's not my thing
No, I feel you.
anyway.
Definitely. So, coming from when you went through all that and then getting into your music,
Hmm.
I noticed that you haven't released a lot of music.
Yeah, that's also been a lack of resources on my end.
Okay. Just
I
like the means to an end, basically, just to get it out there.
Yeah, or the actual means to
Means
record.
record. Okay.
So I have started investing in more,
Yeah, you were talking about that earlier.
yeah, and more equipment and
Hmm.
things like, yeah, like the MIDI keyboard, audio
Yeah.
interface, programs in which to record and
Yeah.
produce music. It's all very new to me. I'm familiar just from being a part of it, being in the studio, having friends that do it for a living. I
Hmm.
have um my friend Pyramis, he does like he does audio engineering, but he is of course also a rapper. But he does really good music, and he's evolved. There was a time where I was kind of like not thinking it was up to par for me. No offense, dude, my bad, love you. Um and he really developed his sound, and my a song that I performed on Untapped Hip Hop called Detox is actually his beat. So he's somebody that I've been wanting to invest more into as far as beats are concerned. But yeah, it
Hmm.
is an expense that I've never really been able to hold up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing I really prioritize because, I have to have an ounce of weed first and foremost, right? Priorities, you guys, priorities. No, but yeah, I haven't really also had the confidence up until recently to say, I can write a song. I've always been more of like a cover person. Like I've always just performed live at like,
But you do great covers because I heard
thank you.
so many other covers. I know we have Alicia Keys right here, one of your favorite artists,
Oh, yes.
and you did a
Love
cover
you.
for. I was listening to your cover
A
for
Fallen.
Fallen.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did. My friend Mike Capuano, he engineered that for me. And then my friend Mike Vasio, he played guitar for me, and he even did the Sex and Candy one, which
Oh,
is
nice.
obviously a great
Yeah.
classic.
Definitely. Yes.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite songs. So we wanted to just like record some covers. And that was like the first time I'd really like ever had anything like legitimate to put
Hmm.
on my SoundCloud.
Okay.
I just never really went for it. It was yeah, I wanna say it was a lack of confidence, unfortunately. People for years would be like, "What are you doing?" My cousin's husband, Mars, was even like, "Go for broke." He owns, a multimedia production company called
Hmm.
Syndrome Studio, and he does, like, logos and multimedia, like, for famous stuff, and, like, even the voice, that logo with the mic and the peace sign, he
Hmm.
did that. Yeah, like crazy. So he's like, "You're gonna be broke for a while. That's why they call it going for broke." He told me when I was 24. He's like, "But you gotta do it because 'cause you'll get somewhere if you just, like, stick to it." And
Yeah.
I'm blessed, I live with my mom, she doesn't charge me anything, I just, like, gotta clean up and, help her out,
Household
whatever.
stuff.
Yeah, exactly, the basics, be the maid,
Yeah.
fine. So what? Fuck it.
Yeah.
Sure. And it's your mom, she's
Yeah.
gonna spoil you, like, "You hungry?" Shit
Yeah.
like that. And, she's not the most physically able person, so I do feel being there. So I do have an opportunity in essence to kind of still go for broke for this kind of shit. So I feel like my age was calling at some point. I felt the biological clock ticking. And I was like, why
Mhm.
haven't you done this yet? Just do it. What's taking you so long? So I have been working on an EP.
Nice.
It's probably going to come out in November, December timeframe.
Okay.
I just want to get like maybe a couple more songs written. I only have like 3 that I could put on one little
Yeah,
like
yeah.
EP, but I was thinking maybe like 5 would be more solid. I really it took a long time to cultivate a sound too. I was like, "What music would I make? Like, what kind of singer do you think you are? Like, what you wanna do country? You wanna do pop?" Because I've always been a rather versatile vocalist. I come
I
from
was gonna say you did the alt rock, the cover
on my
on your
SoundCloud,
SoundCloud?
there's a song that sounds like very alternative rock called
Yes.
Last Night. That's
Yes.
actually not a cover.
Really?
I wrote that song,
Damn.
lyrically and,
Okay.
the vocal melody, that's written by me. That happened by accident. The guy that
Interesting.
did the recording, he was playing the guitar for that, or it's a bass. That like "dun-dun-dun-dun," that little,
Yeah.
motif that he did, he
Yeah.
was just playing that over and over. We were supposed to be recording covers that day. Or
Oh,
actually,
okay.
I'm sorry, just an original that I wrote with my other guitarist. They're both Mike. So, he just started playing that for fun, and I sang that first verse of that song. We actually used it as a joke. Like, we were just kinda being funny.
Having fun.
Yeah, and I was just pretending to be, like, catchy, but we were all kinda like, "That actually kinda sounds like fucking catchy as fuck. Let's keep going." They ended up hanging out a separate time
Mhm.
after I wrote, like, some of it, like, maybe 1 or 2 verses,
Yeah.
and they finished it on their own separately, because he lives up in the mountains. Like, they're, like, best friends. So he
Okay.
just went up on his own sometime, recorded the rest of the instrumental, and they emailed it to me, and I wrote the rest of the song. It would just came out, like, it was so organic. It was
Nice.
really one of those happy accidents with music.
Oh yeah.
So that's why I really love that song, 'cause they when I was listening to the instrumental, I was like, "Wow, they really just created a range." It slows down, there's a rubato section, there's a, like, there's a crescendo back, there's a build up to the end, it's very climactic. I really, really am very proud of that song.
No, I was like, "Oh, damn, this has, like, a nice alternative feel."
And it's a completely different genre than
Yeah.
you would think
Yeah, because I
because
heard your other, like, covers and stuff, and I was like, "Oh, very,"
Mhm.
really in-depth, like, harmonically because you have to sing,
Yeah.
it's like
And harmonize with myself. I do, like,
yes.
the backup vocals for myself and stuff. Yeah, I will say I'm a gifted singer. That's something I wouldn't say before. I actually do have a gift, and I feel like it's not fair to not share it.
Mhm.
So, not even that, it's not fair to myself to I like listening to my own music. I have unreleased songs, like, free beats from YouTube that I don't have the rights to, that I just bump myself, and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's interesting once you finally gain a certain amount of confidence and appreciation for yourself and actually recognize what you can do, and that also led to finding my sound. But yeah, it is kind of hard to find any one sound, so I did sort of just decide to kind of do it all.
Yeah.
Like, just have little different projects. I'm like Jack White.
Well, I mean, being versatile is something I mean, I can also understand because 'cause I've been trying to do that too, is, like, being versatile just in many facets, just so
Jack
because
of
it's
all
interesting.
trades.
It's
Yeah.
interesting, it's just fun.
If it interests you and you feel like you can try your hand at it and be even halfway decent, I always say do it because or even if you just enjoy it, create a hobby out of something.
Yeah,
Like, fuck it. If you're trying to create a trade, you do have to be realistic. You
definitely.
do competition is out there. So
Yeah,
you have to have standards.
yeah,
You can't just look at it and be like, "Okay, that's fine," and not do more research.
yeah,
Unless you just want to do little random art walks for the rest of your
yeah,
life and just
sure.
work at a law firm like me. Like but even then, I think it's important to have standards for your art and really think about whether or not it's of quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's, like, up to par per se to the standard, the
Right,
baseline, I
exactly.
guess you could say.
The standard, exactly, because
Mhm.
you have to have it all averages out. You can pretty much gauge.
Yeah.
It's a pretty universal thing, I think.
So tell me, a little bit about, like, your, non-music stuff, the artwork you do there.
Yeah, I eventually found out about that little program called Procreate, one of those drawing apps, and I just had a field day. I started just like tracing over actual photos, and I still even kind of do that, but
Mhm.
it requires less of me like cheating, I guess you could say, but I
Mhm.
still don't consider it cheating because
No, because
it's
all the
hard to trace first of all.
especially on, the computer, but you have to know how to use, like, the right brush
Yeah, and
or
I'm,
the
like, doing it on
setting.
my phone. I don't even have an iPad. I have an iPhone, and I just, like, literally I'm sitting there, like, at my desk sometimes, like or, like,
Dang, that's
at
pretty good.
lunch or something, and I'll throw something together in, like, an hour or 2 sometimes.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, the brush features are there, and once you
Yeah.
get used to it, that's all you need, and it's a lot of fun, and I feel like it's made me a better artist. It's made me better with mixing color and paying attention to certain details and doing portraits. It's made me an actual better just painter all
Yeah,
around,
okay.
like, even with
Nice.
acrylic painting. I've actually been working on moving on to, making jewelry out of, like, shrink plastic earrings that I'll paint to look like, I don't know, a planchette for a Ouija board or, like, something like that,
Mhm.
witchy, because duh. Bitches love witchy vibes, so and I'm bitches, it's me, hi. So there's that. I want to do that. I love earrings. I'm a big earring aficionado and I love funky styles. I actually follow this Bronx-based artist who actually does that already for a living, but I kind of was like, "Oh, I wish she did this." And I was like, "Oh, I guess I could just make that."
Yeah, you could do
So
it.
I was like, "Oh, that'd be fun to do." And
Yeah.
like she's not the only one who does this type of jewelry or
Mhm.
art. So I was just working more with polymer clay and shrink plastic. So I kind of have like a line coming out probably in a couple of months. I'm still perfecting.
Doing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I'm always trying to learn new things. I work with resin too. I'm trying to like work with resin on canvas or incorporating it into jewelry, making ashtrays or something. Yeah, I'm
Maybe
totally
rolling
just
trays?
rolling trays are definitely a
That has to be
thing
on the
for me. Yes,
list.
it's on the
There
list.
you go.
Very much on
Hell
the
yeah.
list. Because if the ashtray's on the list, you have to have the matching rolling tray, you guys. I wish I could make a bong. I wish I could blow glass. I feel like I'm
That's
clumsy.
the next step.
I'm really clumsy though. I don't want to set myself on fire. I need supervision.
You just wear the fire retardant
I need
suits?
parental no, I need a parental
Parental
supervision. Not even my mom who, like, can't even run, like, I'm like, "Mom, can you just make sure I'm okay?" Like, "Please." My best friend was sitting there like, "Make sure I don't set myself on fire. Okay, thank you." Scalpel. Yeah, my dad was a craftsman, a woodworker, so I think that's where I kind of learned, don't just stick to a canvas. I think that's
Yeah.
kinda where I got that idea too, but, Instagram can be a useful tool if you let it, you know?
Yeah. No, definitely. If you're consistent and you post all the time, like that's what it is really. Is just
Yeah, and you can capitalize on what other people are doing, low key, no offense. Like, you can take another idea. It's a very Salieri versus Mozart, back in the days, people would have thought, like, we would be talking about Antonio Salieri now, but Mozart took his ideas and made them into his own and made them better. So he's kind of a robber baron, but I think he was mused
yeah. I think
by and I allow things to muse me into
yeah.
evolving their products into my own, and if somebody thinks it's better, then fine.
Mhm.
Then think that,
Yeah.
please. But it's no shade, it's just yeah, it's inspiration.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I if I feel like I can do it, I'll try it.
I mean, that's a good attitude. I mean, especially when you're talking about from what, you came from a certain place and now it doesn't matter for me personally, I don't think it matters when you come to that point where you're like,
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna get on this high horse and I'm gonna go. Like
Right.
for myself.
I used to pull that card, like, till the cows came home. I love that sort of phrase. But I remember being 26 and thinking, I'm too old to make it as a singer. And now I'm 30, like, I've got time. Like, it really doesn't matter. Like, I'm still in pursuit of my degree myself because I wasn't even sure what I really wanted to land on. So
What are you going for?
now I actually I literally just made this decision, but it hit me. I'm like, graphic design, what am I doing? What am I doing not having a
And
graphic design
you can do
degree?
it from home, right?
I was
Or
just
do you
you
in
probably
class?
could. Indeed.com, I actually, like, put a search in recently for graphic design jobs or, like, artist
Mhm.
jobs, excuse me. I was like, "Is there any, like, entry level
So
options
is it
for
the
that?"
same for the kind of the same thing? So the trend I've seen in audio engineering and
Mhm.
stuff is like all of the applications are like you have to have 3 years experience, 5 years experience. Is that kind of like the trend with like the graphic design
For
space?
sure, but a lot of places are, like, at a bare minimum asking for a degree in that area.
Got you.
So that's something
Okay.
when I searched artists, a lot of graphic design jobs came up. Sometimes they're, like, super relevant to, like, what you would think would be involved with graphic design.
Mhm.
Others, it's like, okay, this might be boring.
Yeah.
So, of course, I would keep my options open to something more exciting,
Got
but
you.
I definitely want to be able to even consider myself a candidate for something like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that minor in business, maybe
Nice.
something like that, something smart so that I can
Kind of
stay
get have
solid.
something for yourself a little bit, and then you got the graphic design
Yeah,
to kind of
exactly.
like
I would
ride
even
with.
consider them both for myself
Yeah.
because to have both, they're
Yeah,
complementary.
they'll benefit of each other.
Right. Yeah. I feel like I'm really just a driven person and I'm driven by my influences a lot. If I see people being so productive and at some point start asking myself what I'm doing. Like, what are you doing? My grandfather, he did so much when he came to this country. And he is such a smart man and does just fine. You know, he can literally donate money to his family and still be okay. Like that's how smart he was about his budgeting, and he came here with practically nothing, of course, because that's what happens when you know, migrate from a country, from a
Yeah.
third world country.
Yeah.
So that was, I think that's always been like a defining factor for me in my life, and a motivation, and a respect that I have for the fact that you want to be a doer. Mija, you want to be a doer. He's Guatemalan. So he calls me mija. But yeah, he that's a big thing. He's like, he likes a doer. And I have always felt like he's never really thought I've been enough of one. And I was like, I think you just agree with
Yeah.
that. I think that's maybe what you think. And yeah, people always do that thing where they're like complain about it and like don't do anything. And yeah, something happened. I guess there's some sort of catalyst that like sent me into the other direction.
Yeah.
I guess maybe all the pain. I wanted to transcend
Like
it.
feeling a certain way and then being like, yeah, it's not for me anymore.
I don't I don't know, like hopefully whoever like listens to this relates to this. Maybe they lost a parent or um I feel like I was so sick of being in pain because it was like a long road to my dad dying. He
Mm-hmm.
was really sick and was sick for years, but then it really like took deteriorated his body
Yeah.
like in the last like 18 months of his life.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, oh my God, I was just running on high octane with my emotions, trying to like
It's a lot to process.
all yeah, and I feel like I already have like chemical imbalance issues. I really feel like I never really developed great coping mechanisms for such a thing, but it was like, okay, like bitch, you got to beast up and handle this cuz other people can handle this. And then there's the comparison again. And I didn't try to handle it in my own way. And
Mm-hmm.
then if I did, it was just my own way was acting out and like bitching everyone out
Yeah.
and like yelling and having a bad temper. And by the time he passed away and then my ex left me and I felt so alone. I was just like, I'm so tired of feeling this way. I don't even want to like I feel like I don't have it in me to even feel the pain in a way. I felt like empty. So like I was just out of fuel. So I just had to do something to feed my soul. I really did. And I think that's and then it just propelled me into this I almost created a monster kind of because now I
Mm-hmm.
just can't have enough.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
I'm just like, what more can I do?
It's almost like a new addiction where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I this thing is like, I know what is possibly could be
Right,
if I just
exactly.
fuel to this fire, you know?
And when yeah, and especially when you make one move and see it transcend into other moves, you're like, "Oh shit, this really does work."
Yeah.
I've come so far and I've only been doing this if you think about it like for a year. So it's like, whoa, oh, okay. You like now you're on a podcast. Now you have this whole art community that you're a part of. You have a bunch of new followers, probably. I really never noticed for like to do the math, but there's probably some sort of algorithm out there that helps you find that out over the years. But yeah, I think it's and I have a lot more support. I have like I feel like I have fans and I'm like, "Holy shit, that's crazy." I have people that just follow me because they like my work. "Oh, I saw you did this for my friend and I was wondering if you could do a portrait of me. I'll pay you." And it's like now it's like, "Damn straight you'll pay me." Like, before it was like, "You will." You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
Oh my
definitely.
god, yeah. So it's
Starts out very
that's
humble and then you're like, damn, I have worth.
and only in a year.
Yeah.
So I actually and I got inspired by that Bronx-based artist. Her name's Rocio Murray. Rocio Art. I have to put her name out there because she's amazing. And her
Shout
art's
out.
like, yeah, super shout out moment. Her art's phenomenal. If you like a funky, fresh style with the little, I feel like a hint of the 90s because she's a 90s baby
I was
too.
gonna say, your artwork also has a lot of 90s feel to it.
I'm
You're on your canvas, a lot
very
of your canvas work I was looking at.
Yeah, I'm very inspired by my childhood.
No, yeah.
90s were good times. My brother is 10 years older than me, so he was like a teenager,
Yep.
have his influence,
Definitely.
and my parents are a lot older, so like I feel like I have so many different time frames that I'm influenced by, but the 90s to me are like mine. I was born in 1990, so
Yeah, and you
you
had
know, of
10 the
course I
whole
don't
10.
remember.
The first couple years, but you had this whole scope.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I remember from like 95 on pretty damn well. So, especially like the late 90s. The late
Yeah.
90s were an interesting time, very grungy.
Yes.
That's my style right there. The
Yeah.
late 90s like the Friends time period.
Yep.
That's very much my style for sure. I'm very Phoebes. from Friends.
Phoebes.
Phoebes and Joey Tribbiani. How you doing? I am Joey. I took a quiz the other night. I got Joey.
You got Joey.
And I was like, what is a Friday night without 2 pizzas? You know? The
That's
Joey
rad.
special. That's a good one. But yeah, I'm glad somebody actually kind of caught on to that. I didn't know if it was
No, I saw it and I was like, okay. For me, it's like obviously I was in '95, so I was halfway. So I
right.
don't really remember all of it, but because my mom had me when she was 18 years old,
Mm,
and my dad was only like 23 when they had me, as
that's like their time.
yeah, as
Yeah.
they grew, I kind of like watched everything they watched. So
Yeah.
like I've seen everything, like most of the popular movies from the '90s,
Mm.
things that have come around because my dad's a movie head. My mom likes a lot of different music and stuff.
Same.
So
Yeah, that's a thing. That's a real thing. Like I
yeah,
know a bunch of movies from I spent a lot of time with my grandparents too, who were born in the 30s. They babysat me a shit ton.
yeah.
So I have like a range. I have like movies
Well,
from
that's
then
more
and
in the
like maybe the 50s
in
actually.
the even with my wife because she's half Hispanic.
Oh, okay. Same,
Very
half.
yeah. So having the family close and like having that, I don't know, it was just crazy to see because my family. It's not that we weren't close. It's just that like that family is just always right there. Like I got you.
Yeah. Oh my
I got
gosh.
you.
We are a little bit Americanized here. I will say that
I'll
just
say
within
this too.
my
My wife's
mom's
family Americanized
siblings.
for sure, but their
Within the
cultural
siblings.
values and like within the family, it was very tight.
Yeah, like my mom is kind of like on the outs with one of my aunts. And like we've always kind of had like issues over the years, I guess you could say. But when my dad passed away, that was the aunt that showed up with her husband. Like she showed up and yeah, they were the closest. They're the only ones that are actually nearby. So but they showed up, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like you show up for your family regardless
yeah,
of the tiff. I mean, yeah, you might have to keep your distance from people for toxicity levels, which
yeah.
that's not a Hispanic thing.
No, that's just
That's
general.
just but you have to do it.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
will
Just
call it an American thing.
it's knowing your family. Like,
Yeah.
okay, this person, and it's like, okay, let's keep the tempers low.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. It's
yeah.
like we obviously clash and there's just no need for either of us to be upset,
Mhm.
you know, you keep your audience, I'll keep mine. And that's why I'll always say that because well, duh. Everybody knows what it's like to have that like moment where you try to stick up for yourself, especially in those
Yeah.
like really tight knit cultures. And then it's like seen as disrespect. But if I go to Guatemala, oh my God, like I've been there 3 times, okay? And like
I'm
they are
jealous.
just like, like they just do everything. Everybody has a maid there. Like if you're more kind of a little bit more upscale
Yeah.
with the money. Um, which my family kind of is. They worked really hard. It's like not even like a thing, but they actually worked really really hard, and a lot of them like have pretty nice homes, and even if they don't, they still have like a maid, and like they dress in the very they call it típico
Yeah, yeah.
attire, like like
No, in
we're
other
made on the
countries,
whim.
it's if you have enough money, obviously, like
It's
it's
like the
very
50 dude,
normal.
it's like the 50s, I can't lie to you. It's, like, weird.
Really?
It's a little it makes me feel a little awkward just knowing, because the social climate, especially right now,
Yeah,
is
yeah,
very
yeah. And
it's just different
it's a
there.
different culture.
It's very different, and,
Yeah,
like but they're very obviously very nice to the help, and, like,
yeah.
they're so glad to have a job. It's third world, so, like, people are, like, dying for a
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, and a lot of the times, I mean, even if,
And my
like,
family spoils. They'll, like, family functions, you're coming and you're no, like, you're
treat them
just
like family.
participating,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
not, like, there to serve me.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
you're part of the family because even, like, with my, like, on my wife's side of the family, it's like, even if, like, because 'cause they've worked those jobs either here,
Mhm.
being a maid or, like, if someone in their family has done that job or they've brought someone in, they treat them like, "Hey, like, you wanna have a glass of, water? You need help, let us know if you need anything."
Right.
It's very trust oriented and that
Very hospitable.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, I do get very, like my grandpa actually likes that I do this. I tend to, like, pick up my own plate and stuff anyway and others and go to the kitchen
Yeah.
because I just, like, I don't have the heart type of thing. And, they'll be like, "Oh, it's okay," and I'll say in Spanish, like, "It's okay. At my house, I am the like, I'm the maid, I'm the help." Like I said, "Soy la" or what do you is it "la ayuda?" I don't know. I don't speak Spanish, sorry, guys. Half white. My
Can you
mom
understand it?
barely. I actually speak it better than I
Okay,
understand,
my
which
wife's
is
the
not
opposite.
really
She
not
can
so
understand it
much.
a lot better, but she can't speak it as well.
Most people are that way. I just didn't have a lot of Spanish spoken to me, but I took classes.
Okay.
So there's that. It's a lot of
Yeah,
memorization
yeah,
for me. But when I go, all of a sudden it like it kind of comes back to me if I stay there for a couple of days, but then I come back, it's gone in a
Yeah.
couple of days. Easy come, easy go. But what I was saying about that is they're just like the amount of hospitality out there is insane. They just like know who you are, they know your family, and that's it. That's all they need to know.
That's
We
cool.
have like a whole family chat on WhatsApp. Like a
There you
gang of
go.
us are on there.
There
It's
you go.
so cute. I love my birthday.
Nice.
My birthday
Yeah.
is so fun when they're
Yeah.
sending all the Spanish messages, and I'm like, it's a good lesson though. It's a good tutorial.
Yeah.
Google Translate is my
Yeah.
best
I was
friend.
gonna say copy paste that in the
Or
translate.
just, Mom, what does this say?
That's awesome.
It's at least I have an at-home Google Translate.
Yeah.
My mom speaks Spanish. She's fluent and understands it because her parents are immigrants. They
Yeah.
spoke Spanish and
Yeah.
English in the home. But I guess they just didn't foresee the need to be
Yeah.
bilingual. I think maybe she thought my brain would be fighting for two languages and saw that as maybe a disadvantage.
Possible.
Yeah, and
Depends on the person.
she thought it. You thought it was white America. You didn't see it going anywhere.
Yeah. Which is, and it's like, because we don't even like, it's not like we instill like, oh hey, everyone learns 2 languages. We don't.
No, exactly. It just depends on where your family came from.
Mm-hmm.
But it became such a massive amount and in so many different areas. It's almost like cliques. Whereas New York is very different. It's very much a salad of
Mhm.
different cultures.
Yeah.
So I think that's a unique thing about like
Definitely.
everywhere else, especially in California, where you have like certain cultural communities living in certain areas,
Yes.
and you always know what area is which.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
We needn't go on or specify because we all know if we're from SoCal. But yeah, it's kind of a different wave.
Yeah.
But
The
I
funny
think
thing is, like a lot of the jobs, like audio jobs at least out here, like they're looking for bilingual people to
Yeah.
do
yeah,
it.
I'm lucky to do what I do as a receptionist, being that I do not speak Spanish or specifically at my job, Armenian. I work for an Armenian lawyer, and
Okay.
you probably heard of him, Mark Garagos.
I haven't. Well, I shouldn't say. I've probably seen. Does he have any like signs anywhere? Like,
He doesn't have signs. He's like
more
been
like.
on. He's more like on the news. Like,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
he does a podcast with Adam Carolla.
Oh,
Actually,
dang.
and sorry, now I'm plugging my boss's
Hey.
podcast.
Shout out.
That shout out, Reasonable Doubt.
Check us out, man.
You know? No, he's so cool. No, he's super cool. He's very like with it, in my opinion. Yeah,
Nice.
he's very like trendy. Yeah, he's a cool guy
That's
for sure.
cool.
Very smart person, but he's a very big part of the Armenian community. Shout
Mhm.
out to the Armenian community, as with everything that was been going on too.
Yep.
But yeah, luckily I do have like other coworkers that speak Armenian, so I can just sort of pass them off, and other coworkers that speak Spanish. So and there usually is someone at your workplace that speaks the language
Yeah.
that they're looking for.
I try to break it down. If someone's speaking Spanish to me, I try to like pick certain words in the sentence.
That one's the easiest to work with.
Yeah, that's the easiest one I can kind of be like, and they always help me in like pointing at the thing and trying to describe it with like hand motions or
Yeah.
facial, expressions.
Right. Certain
So-
things just kind of don't fly.
But
like,
that's been in restaurants, so it's a little bit
Yeah.
easier.
right. Restaurant Spanish is the easiest
Yeah,
form. I speak
yeah.
restaurant Spanish,
Yeah,
no
yeah,
problem,
yeah,
all
yeah,
day.
yeah. So I'm not on that lawyer status. Spanish.
Yeah, you want to. Yeah, you don't want to like be like, oh, you're a client. Yes, okay, we'll send you your money, and then it's
Yeah.
like, nope, that's not what. No,
That's
not right.
what happened.
But I mean, usually, like, if you're smart, you won't mess that up or say the wrong thing. And I even like wrote out a little script for myself. But yeah, most of the time you can get by with things. But I think in the legal field, medical field, like nursing home, something like that,
Yeah.
you don't want to. If there is a majority, you got to go with the majority rule on that one.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to it. I think it's
Definitely.
kind of cool. I think it opens your mind up to other cultures, and
Yeah.
I
That's the
mean, of
best.
course, I've had family members like act irritated because, oh, it didn't used to be like this, and I'm like looking at it like I don't see anything wrong with it. Like, what's wrong with it? Why does it look run down to you? Because why? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't like it. Just does not compute for me.
Hmm.
So it's kind of interesting to be part of a generation that was sort of thrust into open-mindedness.
Yeah, yeah.
I almost didn't realize that there were people my age that were racist. Of course, I mean, there's probably subtle racism with
Yeah.
people if they don't look a certain way. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was just, I felt like especially in California, you grow up living a certain way. You live with all these cultures around you.
Yeah, 'cause
You
here
hit the
in
10 freeway, you're
California-
going to see so many different languages on different billboards. Like,
Yep,
you know what I
definitely.
mean?
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful thing, man. I like it.
Yeah.
Inclusive. I like being inclusive because I've always hated feeling excluded. And Lord knows I've felt excluded a hell of a lot of times in my life.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
I mean, if you don't look like in the 90s, if you weren't like blonde and fit with blue green eyes, like if you didn't look like Danielle Fishel, Tiffany Amber Thiessen or
Or
something,
Jennifer
or
on
Heather
Friends,
Locklear or Jennifer Aniston,
Aniston. If you didn't look like her, dude.
yeah, then you're nothing.
Yeah.
And we're
It's
talking
definitely a change because it's like no one's it's especially that's I can agree with that because for a while I was kind of like I never was like, oh, I just thought that it was like understood that we had already gone through the aspect of like we're all people.
right.
I thought we already got past this.
Yeah, but
So
we didn't.
we didn't,
We just didn't as individuals
yeah, because we also live
to
in
an
we
extent.
live on the West Coast though too. It's
Yeah,
different over here. We don't
it's
live in
loosey goosey.
we don't live in the South where it's very it's very Bible Belt and there's a lot of religion influence,
Yeah,
and then the Midwest where it's very big and very spread out where there's like families that have been there for generations.
and probably a little of the Bible belting still. I think that's
Exactly.
a little bit rampant in the
Yes.
country.
So it's just it's situational and it's experience.
Very.
You know.
Yeah, and also I think traveling, speaking of which, is a very good eye opener. I've had the luxury of
You've traveled a
traveling
lot.
a bit. I will say a bit.
So you've been to Guatemala. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. I have been to Guatemala because I'm half Guatemalan. That's a big eye opener to go to a third world country.
Hmm.
That was humbling. The first time I went, I was 16. So
Okay.
that's a good time to
Oh
go.
yeah, definitely.
I mean, of course, you get stuck in your ways. You go back, everything goes back to normal. But I was blessed with the opportunity to go on tour with Citrus Singers to Italy.
Nice.
And I paid extra to like my parents. Yeah, beg them. I didn't even have to beg that hard. They were like, "We want you to have this experience." That was really cool.
Nice.
We had like a layover in England, and
Mhm.
like they were able to like make package changes, like date changes to those layovers. You can make 6 changes, so we all had to like file into 6 options, we had
Yeah,
to
yeah.
create 6 options on our own out of
Okay.
50 people, and a few of us were like 5 days is solid, that's not
Mhm.
too expensive. And then a girl had like an aunt and a boyfriend that lived there and they put us up in a flat. So, I had a really cool experience. I got to see Italy for 8 days and then boom, right after London for 5 days. It was really
Nice.
cool.
Yeah.
That was really cool. And then, I saw like a couple states as a kid, but I still felt really like deprived. I mean, I did New York and Maui for Citrus Singers
I
as
love
well.
Maui.
That was cool. Really, really cool. We did 2 weeks in Maui. That was almost too
Nice.
long. It was like almost like, dude, I don't need to be here for 2 weeks. Like the days are going by so slow there because it's so chill.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
goes by so slow. So I was kind of like homesick. I was 19.
It's definitely different though, because here in California, we're go, go, go.
Yeah.
I've
So
felt that because my dad used to live out there. So I went out there to visit him. I'm like, dude, this is
I
slow roll.
like that chill,
It's
slow
definitely
roll
chill. It's like
thing.
the vibe is there.
I love it. I think it's a great place for
Definitely
a
not
chill
like the
Californian
mainland
to go.
here.
Yeah, it's definitely nothing like that whatsoever. I stopped traveling for a long time. I never really traveled anywhere after that. I started traveling last year, of course, it's the whole spiral.
Yeah.
But I just also finally had a job that could fund that. Was tired of fucking waiting for people to want to go with me or
Yeah.
make the time when I felt like going. So I saw 5 new states last year and then 2 new
Nice.
ones this year, actually, before
Yeah.
like a week before the lockdown happened. I went to Portland, Oregon, and then I drove to Seattle while I was doing that trip
Oh
and
yeah.
got to see the Space Needle and stuff. Last year went to the Hocus Pocus filming locations, and
That's
I
cool.
got to Salem. I flew into New York, spent the night, saw a friend out there. She was living in East Harlem at the time, and I stayed the night, and then drove to Salem the next day, and that was on Halloween.
Nice.
Yeah, so that
That's
was
cool. That must have been a really like just
it was
total vibey
so
experience and
cool.
like kind of spooky and
Dude, I went to like one of the filming locations is at a graveyard.
okay.
So, at the beginning of the movie, and it was
That's right.
like sundown, those bullies that he runs into.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I found like like the exact shots pretty much and like took snapshots with
That's
my
cool.
Canon, and it was so cool, but it was kind of creepy, dude. I was like, dude, I'm standing on some old hollow ground
It's Salem, man.
right now. Like that's Salem. I'm in
Yeah.
Salem, bruh. We're
Yeah.
talking 16 Plymouth colonies. So like
Yeah.
I went to Plymouth Bay. I stayed in Freetown, there's some sort of triangle of weirdness, these 3 cities in that area
Interesting.
that I found out on last podcast on the left. And I was like, and they named the 3 cities off, and I was like, wait, did they say Freetown? I was like, oh my God, that's right. Or Fall River, excuse me, Fall River.
Fall
But
River.
Freetown's like right there. in Fall River area. And I was like, oh shit. Lizzie
Yeah.
Borden, Bed and Breakfast is there, the chick who murdered her parents and got
Oh,
away with it because at the time they thought women couldn't be capable of such a heinous crime. Isn't that hilarious?
I mean, that's interesting.
Lizzie
It
Borden.
is.
Yeah. She has it's a bed and breakfast now.
Hey, you guys want to come over?
Right.
Someone murdered someone here. It's pretty cool.
You guys want to stay in this
Wanna
really
stay?
pretty hotel?
Yeah, it's
It's
kind of
so
old.
pretty though. Look. It's near Louisa May Alcott's house. Yeah, it actually is. It's pretty close. Yeah, there's like a whole bunch of like the transcendentalist poets and authors of the time. Like
Dang.
but we're talking more like Civil War era,
Mm,
like
okay.
for Louisa May Alcott. And Nathaniel Hawthorne was like a neighbor, knew her parents. Ralph Waldo Emerson's house is down the street from there. And then who else? Can't think of it. Oh, Henry David Thoreau's birthplace is nearby as well. There's a lot of history in
History.
Massachusetts. Yeah, and I
Dude,
even
yeah.
I like a lot of abandoned places too. I saw an abandoned Wizard of Oz theme park in North Carolina last year, and they open it up once a year for like an event.
Interesting.
So I got to do the event. So there was like actual cast members dressed as the characters, and
That's cool.
yeah, I like to look up the coolest or weirdest off the wall shit. I'm very random. Very, very random. But it
No, but you like
works out
to
for
you
me.
kind of like to dip your toes into like a lot of different facets of just life.
Yeah, I like soak up the local color anywhere. Like I
Yeah.
like when I travel, I like to pretend like I'm from the place. Like what's
What's it
like
like to be a
feel like
local?
what's it like to be a local?
Yeah.
Exactly. I can do the whole flash and trash type of trip, get the cool food or
Yeah.
like
The main spots.
yeah, but I like to do it Key Eyes way. It's more fun. Usually involves a lot of weed too. So if
Chilling.
yeah, if you know me, you know I smoke a lot of weed. So
It's never a bad thing.
no, it's just no, it's not. Like after this, I'm gonna go smoke some weed and paint some rocks with my best friend because that's what I was doing before this. You can see all the paint on my fingers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm just that. I'm a little bit stereotypical for an artist. A little bit. I'm wearing Crocs right now, for God's sake. But I was talking so much shit on Crocs. This is not an ad, hashtag. But
You can sponsor us, Crocs, if you want. I mean,
if you want, but especially the fur line bad boys. Wow. But there's a sport mode,
Shout
that
out
little
Crocs.
strap. I
Yeah.
didn't realize the strap was for when you put it like forward, that's chill mode, and when you put it back, it's sport mode.
Yo, hold on. I gotta switch into sport
I
mode, guys.
instantly thought of my grandma.
That's awesome. And,
Oh God. All the young people just turned it off.
they're like Crocs are not tight.
Like this bitch is old.
Crocs
Like, she
are
doesn't
not
know.
tight.
Dude,
They're not, but they're comfy. And, like,
dude, okay.
come on.
Post Malone came out with a pair of I think it was a line of Crocs himself. Okay.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah. They were limited edition and everyone bought them.
Do you remember when Snooki from Jersey Shore had her line of slippers? This big fat sheet of dude, they were there in Italy at the same time as me when I was in Florence.
Really?
Yeah, I was in Florence for a couple days,
They're like,
and that's
we're
where they
shooting the
filmed.
Italy special.
People I knew ran into them at bars. There's a picture of my friend getting rejected for a photo with JWoww. My friend like took it in the distance, and my friend's like doing this, and you see JWoww like with her drink like that in her face.
They
Oh.
would be that way though. They'd be like, no pictures.
Well,
that?
low key, I'm kind of like, why the fuck do you want a picture of the? I was
Them.
gonna call her a dumbass. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, JWoww.
Just say them. Like,
Them.
with them.
Like, I mean, not because they're not good people or whatever. Like,
No,
they're
they're just-
entertaining.
they're
It's
just
not even that. I'm actually a fan of the show, but they're just regular people being filmed.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, why so much admiration that you need a photo and bother them? Like, while
Yeah,
they're just
I-
trying
I
to be
guess
off
that's
the
true.
clock and chill.
Because I always think about it, like if I ever ran into somebody who was like famous, I'd just be like, "Hey man, it's really nice to meet you, see you around. I'm a really big fan.
Yeah.
And that's it." Because I wouldn't want to bother him.
I wouldn't either. My dad kind of did that for Clint Eastwood, which was like life made. Oh, my dad, he's
I
like
don't
always
know.
said, no, and they were in Carmel, which is where they got married, and Clint Eastwood was mayor, or maybe he still is. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But oh man, they finally saw him like on their 20-something, like a few years ago,
Dang.
and he was like, "Hey, Clint," and he stops and he's like, "Yeah," like, kind of like fuck, he's like big fan, and just like let it go,
Yeah,
like from
yeah.
a distance, which
Yeah,
I was kind
yeah.
of like, bold move, Dad.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Just if you acknowledge someone's work, you're like, "Hey man, I really like your work."
Dude, no, when I was a kid, I went to PF Chang's in Beverly Hills with my parents because my mom was working at a firm for like a day there. It was like their Beverly Hills location,
Mm-hmm.
whatever firm she was working at. And they were like, let's have a bougie night, which I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. My parents were cool. So we went, and Allen Iverson was there in a studded 76ers jersey.
Dang.
Like the 76 was like bejeweled.
That's crazy.
And then next thing you know, I see this chick. Her name's Christina Vidal. I'm just really good with like even like the not saying that this person is the lowest, but like the lowest form of celebrity. I always know their names.
You're better at names than me, dude. I'm terrible.
She was in Freaky Friday with Lindsay Lohan. She like played her best friend.
Oh, okay.
She was in Brink. Do you remember Brink from Disney Channel? Soul Skaters.
Oh,
Anyone?
yes.
Are the crickets here yet?
Yes, I remember Brink. Yes.
She was the chick skater
Oh, okay.
that skated with them, the Peruvian girl. Because she went on about being Peruvian in that movie. She was there too, and I straight followed her to the bathroom, dude, and like waited for her to like be done and like come out and wash her, and so I could be like, "Are you?" And I totally did it, and she could totally tell what I was up to. But I was like 12, so she probably thought it was like the cutest thing. She had a show on Nickelodeon at the time that name escapes me, but
I can't remember it.
I think it was like Taina or something. It was like it didn't last long.
Disney, dude, they always have new shows coming.
No, I think, yeah, dude. Nickelodeon and Disney, they're on fire with that shit. I don't understand.
They keep going.
God, it takes me
till
forever
the
to
end.
write anything. How the fuck? Well, I mean, they got a team, safety
They
and
got the
numbers.
squad.
They got the squad, man. Nick
Definitely.
Cannon.
Nick
Do
Cannon.
everything except for there. After they lost Kenan Thompson, they had to find somebody,
Yeah.
right?
The guy who tried to diss Eminem.
Oh my God, right?
I watched that video and I was just like, you did it with 3 other guys.
He was
Like, what do you
hosting America's
mean?
Got Talent when I was on the episode at the time. And I was like, I thought you were tall.
No, most people are short.
I'm not.
Most of the like
We're
famous
not.
most famous people are shorter.
I'll stand up right here, right now. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
No, like it's
They
weird
are
to think
actually.
about. I always thought when I was a kid, Tom Cruise, I thought he was tall as shit. He's like 5'3".
Dude,
5'5".
I tower over that man
Yeah.
and his centered tooth. I tower over.
His centered tooth.
How's the Scientology going, Tom?
We'll take all your money, but it's all for good things.
Oh man,
for
there's
space.
oh my God, there's a whole episode on Last Podcast on the Left. How many times am I gonna mention that podcast on
Hey,
another podcast?
The fact that like people that you
Collab
actually
with me, Henry
listen to a
Zabrowski.
podcast on the reg, and that the fact that so many people do listen to podcasts on the reg is crazy. That's the new edge now. Like that's the movement.
I took forever, but once I found that podcast in particular, and also Haunted Places, because Haunted
Why
Places
not?
are so interesting, and the guy who
My
narrates
wife's
it is
super
not
into that stuff.
cheesy.
Yeah.
So it's literally just called Haunted Places, and the guy who narrates it's actually kind of creepy. And the first one I listened to was about the Elisa Lamb who like was discovered in a water tank at the Cecil Hotel, which
Okay.
is now Stay on Main. It's still a hotel
Yeah.
downtown, but like people were complaining about like the dirty water and blah blah. And
Oh,
there's like
okay.
footage of her in the elevator looking like the elevator doors were just staying open too, which was really weird.
Weird.
And then she like her hands like start contorting, and like she looks like she's talking to someone, and like she looks scared, and there's that whole
Interesting.
like myth about, I think it's derived from China. I'm not really sure, but I think it's like some sort of elevator game that's supposed to be like a teleportation ritual or
Interesting.
people, right?
Yeah, we're creative people,
Yo,
dude.
If we can teleport, I'm down
Yeah.
for whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if I found a DeLorean and I tried to feed it rotten bananas and some plutonium and drove it 88 miles per hour, what would happen? What would really happen?
Possible explosion.
Explosion or time
Or
travel?
time travel.
I guess I left out the flux capacitor, didn't I?
Dude, I love saying that. Yeah, I replaced the flux capacitor on it, and everyone's like, "What?"
Oh, I love when people get it though.
Yeah, I'm like, "Oh, the
it's
flux
it's
capacitor
so
is bad."
refreshing
Yeah.
when people get a movie
I
quote.
know.
And that's especially an obscure one. I'm the queen. I'm the queen of obscure movies and movie quotes.
Dude, you were quoting some of my favorite movies before we started the pod. Talladega Nights is like one of my number 1 films on my list.
I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
It's the best part of the
It's a
movie.
goddamn cougar in the car.
He's got 2 names. He's got 2 first names. How are we gonna make this market this guy? If you ain't first, you're last.
Oh, if you're not first, you're last.
Get the invisible fire off my friend.
Or what about Anchorman? Come on, 60% of the time it works.
Oh,
Every time.
every time? I do one.
Sex Panther.
Oh yeah, dude.
Stings
It's a-
the nostril.
It's a combination of gasoline and death.
Oh my God. I wonder if there's a podcast that's just quoting movies. Probably is.
There'd be
That would
so
be
many.
my
There'd be
podcast.
too many really good zingers that like you'd just be like dying. the
I
whole
love
time.
throwing them into conversation, and once again, especially if someone catches it. I've been throwing one out from Little Women for years.
I haven't seen it.
Of course you haven't, right? Nobody ever. I love doing ones that are just for me. So of course I'm going to throw out Little Women, which is starring Christian Bale. It's like 1994, and
Yeah.
Susan Sarandon
I
and
forget
Winona
he's
Ryder.
How old is that guy?
Old enough to
He's
have
old
been in
enough-
a lot of
lot of
movies and
movies,
get
yeah.
famous for some sort of domestic violence, and people forgot about it by now.
Happens a lot.
Sorry,
Buried.
Christian. Cat's out of the bag again. I just ruined his career all over again.
Canceled.
It's okay. Just watch Batman Begins. You'll forget all about it. Don't watch American Psycho, though. Apparently, it's too accurate. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Only partially, you guys. Just partial. That's a weird movie.
I'm not.
American Psycho.
I have watched parts of it. I have never watched it fully all the way through.
Don't bother. No offense. Once again, Christian Bale ruining your career. Not a fantastic movie.
He got better, I think, as he got older.
It's good for like if you want to watch a cult classic like Nightmare on Elm Street. Nobody is gonna watch that if they're not a child because they wanted to watch a great horror movie. Like
Yeah.
nobody's gonna do that. Like
Yeah, definitely.
you want to watch a good horror movie, you gotta watch like I don't know. That's very subjective, actually.
Yes.
Very. I
We
say
do a
as
couple
above,
podcasts
so
on that
below.
stuff. Yeah.
As above, so below is very choice. If you ask for because of ending. Endings always blow, man, and I'm tired of it. I'm so sick of horror movies having terrible endings, especially when the rest of the movie fucking rocks.
I'm a sucker to make a joke out of the entire movie.
Okay, well, that's
Because
more fun.
and the only reason is because I'm so like logical.
That's more
about
fun than
it.
getting mad.
Yeah, because I'll just
Like
sit
I
there.
do.
I'll be like, dude, you just ran past the light switch. Like you're scared and just turn the light on.
Well, it's like Scary Movie when it says like death or like
Yeah,
safety, and she
yeah.
runs towards she runs
Yeah.
towards death.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the best.
See, people always make, but people, if you think about it, when a lot of people are scared or under pressure, we like lose our sensibilities.
Yeah.
We lose our common sense
Definitely.
and rationale quite a bit. I know I do.
Yeah.
Like if I were freaked out, I'd be like, I wouldn't even take the time to think about being logical or taking a breath. I'd be like, just where's the closest knife?
hmm
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's right where the killer is. Just kill the girl. It's okay. We don't need her.
Yeah.
Right. No, I wouldn't survive. I
feel
don't
like
know
no
how
one would.
Naomi Watts did it. How'd you do that? Especially that's the tough one. The
Yep.
chick was coming out of the screen.
Yep. That
Damn
that
right.
movie. I lived in Simi when I was a kid. That movie was filmed right up the street from where I lived.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I know they did some in the Moisco Island was actually off the coast of Oregon, I think. I want to say. And I wanted to like try to go and see that like lighthouse
Yeah.
from the movie, but it wasn't worth the drive. I was only in Portland for like 2 days, and I'm
yeah.
like, and that's not near Portland. But I'm such a junkie for movie filming locations. That's funny that you say that.
You know,
Simi Valley.
the Simi Valley has a lot of interesting spots.
California, Los Angeles in general has a lot
There's
going
just a
on.
lot
with
of like
that.
little pockets of
The
like.
Thriller House, Charmed House. I've
Yeah.
seen Pee Wee Herman's in San Marino.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a
a
lot.
lot.
The Back to the Future is in
Yep.
San Marino, the dad's house, and then oh my god, I can't think of the name. The Gamble House. The Gamble House is Doc
From
Brown's house exterior from the
Oh,
1950s.
oh, okay.
When they're like, he's like, that's John F. Kennedy Drive. Who the hell is John F. Kennedy? That's such a good movie.
It is a really good movie.
Robert Zemeckis, man.
So, I guess back to a little bit about music.
No, I'm just kidding. Yes. Oh, we
question.
totally went on a tangent.
We went far.
Whoops.
That's fine. That's
Forgot
the,
I was
that's
at
the
a
point.
podcast.
That's the point of the pod.
Oh, there you go.
That's why we're here. Just
But
talk
music.
music. So would you, as someone like, say someone in a similar situation as you that maybe hasn't pulled the trigger or has some,
Mm.
talent, what would you do you have any advice for someone who's out there just like thinking like, oh, dude, I don't know if I can do it
If you
or
don't pull that damn trigger and don't aim the gun at yourself, that's all I could say. I would be like, stop doubting yourself. Like, literally, I'm so serious. Like, if I was literally in someone's presence, I probably really would do that. I'd be like, no, stop it. You stop it right now. And
stop
like tell them,
down?
like I'd like shake them up. Like, no, you need to, of course, COVID. So I'd be like
Mhm.
waving my hands in the air or something. But
At a 6 foot distance.
that is you over there. Knock it off. No, I would really advise against it. And usually if you do that, people start coming up with excuses. The scroll comes out written in cuneiform by the scribes. And you're like, dude, why the fuck do you have that? And and you're like, fuck a list of reasons why. You're just do something. Make a move. It's always overwhelming if you think about the whole product at once. It's like my house. My house is in shambles. I gotta fix a lot of shit. Maybe just to, like take it like one project at a time. Or like my dad used to tell me the Grand Canyon method. It formed slowly but surely over time with the Colorado River's
Mhm.
formation, and it split the rocks and it created it into the formation that it is today,
Yeah.
slowly but surely over time. And here it is,
Yeah.
and now it's this beautiful scene that
Yeah.
people really go nuts over. And I can understand why. I've never been there, but I've seen photos. And the red rocks are similar in Vegas. But yeah, no, there's something to that.
Yeah.
And another piece of advice my father gave me, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You got to come up with like a game plan. You can't just like wing it. Like the queen of winging it. I should have wings. like like I'm serious. It's crazy. I just like I'm going to do this, and then all of a sudden I'm like, "Wait, what am I doing? Where do I start?" I just go like 0 to 60 so quickly. So I think people find pulling the trigger on something like this very overwhelming. And yeah, you're always it's I don't know why it's so innate within so many people to talk yourself out of something. And I guess it is,
It's being scared.
yeah, and it is also, I think, yeah, maybe it is society driven where people just hear all the voices in their head, all of the outside world carrying that on their shoulders. It's a burden.
Mhm.
And I've always just, yeah, admired people that are just like, fuck that shit. Like, I
Yeah.
do me. And I still struggle to do that all the time, but people more than ever view me as that kind of person. And it is really just as simple as me. One choice at a time.
Oh, yeah.
It builds. And it's like I said before, it only took a year to really get where I am now. And I don't, I mean, of course, I don't. Now I'm gonna shit on myself. Like I didn't reach such great heights, but I mean, I make music, like now I wasn't before, and I
Yeah.
make money off of my art.
Yeah.
So shit, and in the past, I've made money off of my singing. Like I've actually had a person, at my last job at Club Champion, the gymnastics place, a dad like was like signing their kid up for gymnastics, got into the subject of music, and then he's like, so what happened? He asked me what I was doing at some point in the conversation as far as music right then. And he's like,
Mhm.
oh, it's sort of flatlined right now.
Mhm.
And then at some point in the conversation he asked me, so what happens to artists like you that don't make it?
Interesting.
And I was like, this is the problem with people and their view
Um,
on success.
exactly. Well, it's if you don't reach the, mainstream platform,
Right.
basically. Because like, I
Because for
mean,
me,
we
just to
know.
make a red cent off of money, which somebody would think just to even create it, not even put it out yet, just to
Yeah.
create it, write it, put it down, put it in their brain,
Yeah.
is a form of success.
Mhm.
And it is. And I wouldn't even call it a small victory, because this shit is hard work. You don't just make a cool song. Like
Yeah.
you don't just get told that I played your song on repeat,
For like, yeah.
like complete stranger too at that. Like that's like that really was I was like, I'm not crying, you're crying. Cause like that's I never thought I would hear that and
No,
have someone
you have
genuinely
a
say such a thing. And that's a form of success. So I think I kind of had to put him in his place a little bit as customer service friendly as I could. I said, I don't consider myself somebody who hasn't made it. Maybe it's just not yet as far as the mainstream is
Mhm.
concerned. I'm like, there's other avenues to explore with music now, especially nowadays.
Exactly.
People are doing I've done like a demo recording reel for like a little Airbud spin-off that goes straight to DVD,
Okay.
like the Air Buddies or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like a Christmas one. I got to do a demo reel recording gig. I totally bombed it, but did I make $120?
Yeah. There you go. It's a gig.
It's a gig. And that was because my director at the choir recommended me, and that's a form of success. That's a paying gig.
Yeah.
That's like some people just are studio singers. They walk in and people throw the music at you. They literally do just throw
Yeah.
music at you. It almost seemed like a chore for this guy to play my line for me, like my musical line, because it was like a really tight vocal harmony, an 8 part. So we're talking 4 men, 4 women.
Mm-hmm.
Each line was different.
Okay.
So very rarely were we in unison with each other. So it was singing the same notes. It was really, really tough. It was very off the wall. That was kind of one of my more embarrassing, but people do that for a living. And
Yeah.
it's that nobody would ever think of that.
Yeah.
You're like jingle singers or,
Yeah. Yeah.
or the people behind all of that, like behind the computer and the equipment. And,
Mm-hmm.
people who aren't in the industry don't even realize how
No.
versatile it is and what a variety of jobs there really, really are for it,
Yeah.
for the arts. And I think even making music nowadays, it doesn't, I mean, music money off of it just doesn't matter to me. It just doesn't. I know plenty of artists that should be famous
Yeah.
and are not making a damn cent. They're paying to put their music out
Yeah.
when they should be getting paid. Even
Mm-hmm.
artists, famous people should be getting paid more for their art nowadays.
Yeah.
The way
Because it's
streaming
more the
works.
hustle that they know how to run than anything.
Exactly. Status doesn't mean shit. Have you seen the show Atlanta with
Yeah.
Childish Gambino or excuse me, Donald Glover
Uh-huh.
for that? That guy was like had a status with
Yeah.
rapping, but was he still living in like the projects at the beginning of the show? Yes, he was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A big break doesn't exactly mean a financial break
Yeah.
for these people, and that's disgusting in my opinion.
Oh yeah. It's the hardest fact to come to terms with, I think, in this
Yeah.
industry sometimes.
But then it's also like, okay, so is that really your definition of success? Because I think you see these I think you see these people, not you, but the guy
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
made that comment. You see these people and you think they're just rolling in the dough and they're popular and that's all that
Yeah.
matters. It's a status quo.
Yeah.
And art really shouldn't be about that.
No.
It really shouldn't. It should be about the beauty in it. And but that's something I've learned with like it's the common ground community, the Noah James bubble, as you
Yeah.
referred
Yeah.
to. um, I've never seen such a like supportive group of artists ever.
Definitely.
LA is so competitive and nobody wants to compliment you. It's like pains them to compliment you almost. Not to say all LA artists are built the same because I'm
Uh,
from the LA county.
yeah.
I mean, I know Pomona is technically the IE, but it's LA County.
Yeah.
And I work in downtown Los Angeles, so I see it and I just perform there. And it's like some people really stand there and they show their appreciation and everybody just walks by because it's a go, go, go.
Yeah.
But I think there's something about this community, that it's the common ground community, the Brick GFA's community, that's so beautiful. It's really allowed me to feel the confidence to put my shit out
Mm-hmm.
because even if it sucked, I feel like these people would still just be like, "Yay, you did it. Good for you. Like this post, share it." It's like so nice. It's so nice to
Yeah. Yeah.
have
Definitely.
and it's something I didn't have before and I feel like while last year was probably one of the hardest times in my life and even this year
Mm-hmm.
because it's still like not a lot of time has gone by since I felt like one of the hardest times in my life occurred, if
Yeah.
not the hardest.
So fresh.
But that's been such a beautiful thing to come out of it. It's like almost like coming out of a cocoon,
Yeah.
That's that's all I can really ever like thank God for, or, like, I mean, or whatever I feel like God is, because I'm, spiritual, but not necessarily
Yeah.
religious. But I don't think I could imagine my life any other way now. And it's funny to think about how my life was before. Everything's so different. It's like the same, but it's different. And I wouldn't change it for the fucking world. And I think even hearing that might propel somebody into pulling the trigger. And I hope it does because It really is just that like one small little move. And even if you like don't get anywhere, like it may be where you want it to go. It's like that whole aim for the moon, among the stars thing. I think I said
Yeah.
that in the last podcast interview I did. But it's such a true, as cliche as it sounds, all those cliches are cliches, but they stick around for a reason
Yeah.
because they're true.
Hmm.
And as much as we want to avoid inconvenient truths, you have to acknowledge them. I feel that like tense thing inside of me too when there's things I don't want to admit to myself.
Hmm.
It's like you feel a little physical wall forming inside of you. Don't do it. Don't do it because breaking down my fourth wall has been the best thing.
Oh yeah.
And as a human being, it's transcended into my life in a very positive way.
That's great.
Yeah, you got to let it. And you got to manifest that shit for yourself. You got to really believe it yourself first.
Yeah.
It's like as they say, how does magic work? You got to believe in it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, believe in yourself and you'll come up. You know?
Awesome. Hell yeah. Well, two things. First off, I like you said earlier, the whole like we put it on repeat. Yeah, I think you coming out of this, like time in your life and like doing this, I say ride with it because you have a crazy voice. Like
Thank you.
it's like we were listening to that
Thank
song
you.
and we were just like, dude, like this is the hit, man.
Thank you. Wow.
This
You
is
know what? My best friend said that to me too. And she's a tough cookie, man. Like she'll give it to me straight. Like she's never ever come at me like, whoa, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
She'll always like, okay, she can't give it an ingenuine
yeah. No, but that like
response.
that song is
So
it's
that's
a
good to have more
don't
feedback
stop,
on
right?
that. Don't play.
Don't play. Sorry.
Hmm. No,
Uh,
you're fine.
don't play. Yeah, that song. Me and Mike were just like blown away, and
Awesome.
because it's like we work with a lot of like hip hop artists, so it's a lot
Hmm.
more like, dude, the lyrical scheme of it and like the rhyming and all
Hmm.
that. You know, when you get that singing and that harmonic content to that, it's like whoa.
That's
So
cool. That I never actually didn't. I didn't even think about it that way. And that's funny because that beat is made by a hip hop artist,
yeah, so and it's
Third
cool how
Child,
that
on Instagram.
transcends now. It's almost that R&B. You have the hip hop. You have this beautiful melodic singing. So it's really cool. It's a really good vibe.
I feel like that's my sound.
There you
I
go.
bring like it's almost like that what that Alina Baraz girl, there's
Mhm.
almost like an R&B hip hop
Yes,
feel
I
to
love
the
Elena
beats,
Maras.
but then you have this like really nice feminine tone to
Yes, very calming. Yes,
soothe
yeah,
and
definitely.
or entertain, if you will. And I think that's really fun. And you can easily add hip hop artists to it.
Yeah,
My friend Mac V, for example, find him on Instagram, MacV263.
yeah,
I'm featured on quite a bit of his music
yeah,
because I'm like one of his only like vocalist friends.
yeah, yeah,
And once again, the versatility, like he did a song
definitely.
called Wuhan, which obviously had something to do with the whole COVID and
Yeah,
like Wuhan, China. So he wanted that kind of sound from that culture, that type of music. And I was able to mimic it. I was just listened to different music, in Chinese specifically,
mhm,
and listened to very like mostly like elongated tones. And I just mimicked it and it worked out. He edited it very well and it
mhm.
came out nicely. So I think it's really fun to be able to work with different artists in that
Yeah,
way
that's the
too.
great thing about being out here in the IE. I've seen it through transcend through all the artists we've had on
People
here.
really are down to work with each other
Yeah,
instead of being like, no, this is my thing
exactly.
and my thing only. It's
Yeah.
like, no, you need to create music babies together. Everybody does.
Yeah, exactly.
Music procreation does need to happen because two heads are always better than one. I always think a better song comes out. I mean, some of my favorite songs in mainstream music are like collaborations. Like
Mhm,
there's a new song right now, Grease, but it's a DJ Khaled song,
mhm.
but Drake is on it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And I'm like, what would that song have been without him?
yeah,
Hmm. And
exactly.
you also got to know your talents and know where you have to draw the line sometimes.
Definitely.
Sometimes you got to reach out to other resources to make an even better project.
Yeah,
And that's okay.
yeah, definitely.
It's just going to be better. And yeah, maybe they're going to get some of the pie, but I'm always down for that. I'm not
Mhm.
greedy. I'm not too greedy. Too greedy.
Well, there you
A
go.
little bit.
Well, speaking of reaching out, where can people find you?
Ooh, yes. You can find me on Instagram. My handle is at key_I_KEY_EYE. And then there's Key Eye the artist. If you just literally type in Key Eye the artist,
It'll
that should
come
pop
up.
up. It'll follow up with that.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, you heard it from yourself from Ki. Thanks for watching Mad Track
Yeah.
Talk. It's your boy Lucifer the God. thank you so much for coming on
Thank
the
you
show.
for
It was a
having me.
blast.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a good time.
Hell yeah.
And I love that Alicia was here with us and Miss Erica Badu.
We got the
Yeah.
representation.
Those are my favorites. I'm sorry.
Yep. All right, guys.
All
Well,
right,
we'll
thank you
see
for
you
having
next
me.
time. Thank you so much again.
Absolutely.
Peace.
Before we go,
Yeah.
ladies and
Oh,
gentlemen.
yeah. Thank you. I always forget
This
that.
podcast
His face.
is
Mike,
produced-
go.
Before we go.
This podcast is in part by Productive Culture.
That's
if
right.
you guys need
ladies and
help
gentlemen.
with your setting up your podcast,
Keep going.
go to
man.
productiveculture.com/podcast and tell them Mad Track Talk sent you.
That's right, people. Hit a Productive Culture.
I
They'll
concur.
hook you up. We'll see you guys next time.
Right on.
Peace.
You can't read my mind, and I never asked you to. The thing is that I want nothing, and that's what I get from you. Surely you know when you see me around, I express simplistic beliefs, but still can't get no relief. Unknown expectations, all this uncertainty.